Good morning and welcome to TAPP Talk number 21. I think we are on today. I had kind of forgotten. Yes, we're on number 21. So if you are catching the recording, then we are live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. You can join us to ask questions or ask for a live demo of a product. All you need to do is drop your comments in the comment box on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and I'll see them. And if you want to, you can also send a WhatsApp on this number here, and I'll be able to answer your questions. I am not so used to looking at the WhatsApp screen at the same time as the rest of the broadcast. So if you do send a question in by WhatsApp, I hope I will pick it up. I will try and get practiced with that. It is over there, so I keep having to look over there. But you can send a question on there, or you can just drop it in the comments box. It would also be lovely. I can see some of you online, so it would be lovely if you just say hello in the comments box. Let me know you're there, and or even on WhatsApp if you would like. When you drop them in the comments box, it means I can show the comments on the screen, so we can help other people find answers to their questions as well. So that might be useful. And today I was going to talk about heavy metals in water. We had a blog article just that we put out yesterday about heavy metals in water. So the question is, does a water filter remove heavy metals that you may find in your water? And fortunately, the answer for tap water filters is that our activated carbon block and the other 4 stages or 3 stages in the filtration system is very good at removing heavy metals in the water. So what I'm going to share with you first of all is our independent test results, which are on our website. You can see them on our website. Let me just check that that is coming through. I can add it to the stream like that. So on our blog, on our website, is the independent test results. You can find them by going down to the bottom of the page, and they're right here. I'm not so practiced at screen sharing when doing these live shows, so I'm just checking at the same time what I can see on my screen is what you can see. So these are the independent test results. You just click here, and you will find the independent test results all up here. So if we scroll down to the metals, heavy metals, things like lead, chrome, nickel, copper, arsenic, and manganese, the post-filtration test results were less than 1 micron per liter, which is a no significant level. So what type of, I should also add probably that an activated carbon block, and I have one here to show you, an activated carbon block like this. This removes the heavy metals in water by a process, well, two processes really, but mostly for the heavy metals it's adsorption, which means that this material has a very high surface area, which means that if you took a gram of this and rolled it out, it would be like the size of a tennis court, something like that. It's made from coconut. The activated carbon is a carbon from the coconut that is heated and to a very high temperature, and then it's bound with a food-grade binder, which means that it's got a very high surface area, which means there's lots of pores. So what happens is the heavy metals stick to the surface of the activated carbon, which effectively removes them from your water. And what happens is, if we take a look at a filter this activated carbon block is what's inside of here. So this is covered with a protective layer. And you can see that the color of this filter and this filter is significantly different. So if I hold them up like that, and these are filters that have been used by customers over a period of 3 months. This one actually is one of my favorite ones. This comes from a place called Bormla, and it was just over 3 months, and the customer contacted me, and we went to have a look at it because it was such a lovely deep color. Now, what does this mean if it's this color? This means the filter is doing its job. It is removing things like that from your drinking water. And this is probably, most likely, sand, rust, iron, that kind of thing. And that's what's being removed here. So the independent test results clearly show that lead, nickel, copper, arsenic, and manganese, as well as the other 100 plus components that are filtered out of your water. Things like zinc are interesting. I mean, we need a little bit of zinc in our diet, but you do not want too much. Particular important things in Malta are nitrates, for instance. These are removed by the filtration. You can see the independent test here. In fact, we had the independent test done abroad because there was no capacity or technology to be able to do all of the tests we wanted to do in Malta. We had the chlorine test done in Malta, and then we sent the rest of the water out of the same batch to a laboratory abroad where they did a full analysis, and that's on our website, so you can see that. If you've just joined us, then we are live every day from Monday to Friday, and you can just pop in, ask questions, ask for a live demo. Please do comment if you're in the room. I can see some people in the room, so if you can comment and say hi, that would be great. Otherwise, just ask your questions. That's absolutely super. And we are live every day from 10 a.m. You can also ask questions on WhatsApp, should you wish to. And normally I can see that on my other screen. So you'll catch me looking over there. And just pop your questions in there, or even say hi. That's absolutely fine. So back to the subject for today, which is the heavy metals. So let me just share a screen with our article on it, which is just launched yesterday. So here's the article. Here we go. So this article here is, no, it's not. I'm on the wrong article. Sorry about that. Can a water filter remove heavy metals in Malta? And in researching this article, Annalena came up with a fascinating piece of research done in Malta in 2015. So the beginning of this article, really, you don't really want heavy metals in your water. They can cause health issues. Obviously, I'm not a medical expert, but there's plenty of research to say that they can cause health issues. So this research was quite interesting. So this is some research done by, let me just increase the size of that screen, Roberta Bugea and Claire Schaumacher in 2015. And what they did was they took a number of tests around Malta in, I think, 17 or 18 different locations, and they tested the results. And what was interesting from that research, I found when reading it, was although it's a 2015 research, what was interesting was, first of all, they took tests of various reservoirs. And then they also tested at the point of delivery. So the point of delivery is where we attach our filters such as this, the EcoPro. And the EcoPro is the one that has this type of filter inside. So The interesting part of this research I found was that they tested the water inside people's homes. And what was interesting was that there was a difference between the water in the reservoir when it was tested and the water when it got to a consumer's house. What's interesting from that point of view is that tends to point that to the fact that it is the distribution network, and in fact this was one of their conclusions, the distribution network is what is contributing to higher metal concentration inside the samples. So it's the distribution network, and they referred to leaching from the distribution network. So, for instance, where that is iron piping, that could be rust getting into the system, but it's any type of piping. And of course, if you think from a sort of practical point of view, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because you're taking water you're purifying the water from the sea in the reverse osmosis system, you're then transporting it somewhere else to put it in a reservoir where you keep it, and then you're pushing it out through pipework to your local network. When you think about it, and I didn't think about this before joining TAPP Water as a distributor in Malta, and before sort of buying my own TAPP Water product first, which is what happened. I didn't really think too much about the distribution, but when you think about it, of course, things are going to happen along the way. It doesn't matter, in some respects, how hard the Water Services Corporation try to make sure that doesn't happen. And I would add that our water tested at the point of delivery is compliant with all EU and legislation and Malta's own legislation. So it's absolutely compliant, and the water is safe to drink according to all of those standards. That has to be said, I think. And also, I have experienced over 14 years being here in Malta that the water has changed over 14 years and is considerably better than it was. However, there is only a certain amount you can do with the network. Of course, we try and keep the network up to date. We try and keep it as functioning as possible. But then you've got the pipes in the house or in your building, and there's quite often things you can't control there as well. And that's why in most developed countries now, our water quality really, the water filter is providing you with that extra sense of security, that when your water gets to point of delivery, it is being filtered to a standard to ensure that you're getting great tasting, healthy drinking water. So that's why we had the independent test results done, and that's the thing with the heavy metals in the water, is that should heavy metals be present in the water, they will be filtered out by something like this, the EcoPro, where you just change the filter like this. You're just removing this. This is a slightly used filter, and this is a well-used filter. So you can see the difference. You can see that it's working, you can see that it's doing something, and you could see that using a water filter such as this, you would not be drinking water that is contaminated with whatever this is removed, which is most likely to be things like rust and sediment and sand and stuff like that because of the coloration. So inside this water filter, there are actually 5 layers. There are 5 stages of water filtration. So there are 2 layers in the activated carbon block, which is the sticking to the surface and then the pass through. So the porosity of an activated carbon block like this is 2 microns. 2 microns is removing all sorts of things, like most things. If you take bacteria even, most bacteria are 10 microns and above, or 8. I think the research I read was 10 microns above is a substantial part of it, but there's also things that are between like 2 and 5 and 8 microns. Below 2 microns, yes, that kind of bacteria will get through. That's probably 2% of all bacteria. So 98% of bacteria is being filtered effectively by this, as well as arsenic, heavy metals, nitrates, pesticides, herbicides, pharmaceuticals, antibacterials, and microplastics. We're going to do a session on microplastics probably tomorrow. Microplastics is a really interesting area because there is no regulation about it at the moment. We talk quite often about microplastics being in plastic bottles because it kind of makes sense that plastic bottled water will contain microplastics because you'd expect little bits to come off at some point. The research that I read was actually that when you unscrew the top of a plastic bottle and screw it on, that's when the microplastics are really distributed in the water. And there have been test results over a number of different countries where you can find very high or quite high concentrations of microplastics in bottled water. This filter is effective at removing microplastics because of the porosity of the activated carbon block, so it's passing through. At 2 microns, you're removing microplastics, so that's very important. Also, another layer or another stage in the filtration is what you can hear there. This sound is a proprietary formulation for tap water that inhibits limescale. It's not removing limescale, the calcium carbonate. You actually want calcium in your water because it's healthy for our bones. Malta's water is quite alkaline. So it's got lots of healthy minerals in it. That's why if you measure TDS, or a total dissolved solid of Malta's water, it's actually quite high. But similarly, if you take a good mineral water from a spring, you would measure the TDS, and that would also be quite high. So you've got lots of healthy minerals in the water. So the limescale is inhibited, which means it won't stick to the inside of the kettle, or it'll stick much less. And also you won't get smearing on the glasses as well. So you can see limescale being present in the water. Sometimes you'll see a little bit on the surface. That again is healthy minerals. You may see some water flakes and stuff like that, some things that look like crystals. You get that in water. Sometimes it's a bit cloudy. That's mostly oxygenation. All of these things are not totally removed by a filter. What normally happens is because of there's a limescale inhibitor, as you use the filter, it increases in its capacity to be able to stop that happening. And then at some point, as you get to the end of the 3 months when you're using the filter, then it would be less effective. So it's effective over a period of 3 months, which is why we change the filter every 3 months. Okay, so let me share with you let me just change the screen share. I'm going to share with you the actual research that I was reading. There's a link in the article. There you go. So it's quite a comprehensive report. Let me just scroll to the top of it. You can't see because I forgot to add it into the stream, so I apologize for that. So here we go. This is the actual research that we were looking at. It's 2015, which you can see, March 2015. And they went all round the island. This is the quote that we put in here. The heavy metal concentrations obtained indicated that concentrations of the elements were generally below the maximum allowed concentration established by the Maltese legislation. So that's good. In terms of Maltese and EU water regulations, 17.5% of the localities sampled yielded water that failed the acceptance criteria for a single metal in drinking water. So one part of the full test that they were doing failed in nearly 20%, nearly 1/5 of all the localities. Higher concentrations of some metals were observed in the samples obtained at the end of the distribution network. So that's at point of delivery, in other words, at your tap, when compared to the concentrations at the source, which is the reservoir. So the observed changes in metal concentrations between the locality samples and the corresponding supply reservoirs were significant. So it was then the conclusion that it's the distribution network that is the cause of some of the higher metal concentrations. There's a little map here showing all the areas that they covered. And also what is interesting in this study, I thought, was there is a note here. So 4 of the localities had higher concentrations of iron. Locality 3 had a concentration of 0.8 milligrams per litre, locality 2 and 30 had concentrations of 0.4, and locality 29 had a concentration of 1.2. So this is something that you already know, because customers tell me quite often, oh, we've got the worst water in Malta. In fact, most areas that I've been to and talked to tap water customers, you've told me that it's the worst area. And in many cases, it is right. It's certainly right for you, if that's what you feel. But what is definitely true from this analysis here, that in 2015, when this analysis was done, there was a significant difference between some of the localities. Interestingly, Gozo, there were 2 localities that exceeded the proposed legal limit for lead. And that's quite interesting. I actually didn't have time to look at the research any more than... I'm not too sure whether the localities are actually listed or whether it just says it as locality 2 and 2 locations in Gozo. So I was reading it before this stream, and then I didn't manage to find out which areas it was. But it's quite an interesting piece of research. If you are interested in that, then you can pick up the link to that research off our website. And all you need to do is go to tapwater.mt/news, and you'll see the article right there. Very grateful to Anna Lena, who put that article together for us. Which is interesting, we find data that actually sort of confirms what we already feel as consumers, that there are locations where the water is, let's say, better than other areas. And that would make sense because distribution pipes have been replaced in some areas and not in others. It's a hell of a job when you think about it that the Water Services Corporation has to do. Many, many kilometres of pipe, all to be looked after. It's a hell of a problem, right? It's a big thing. So the fact that we're getting relatively good quality water being delivered to the taps, certainly an improvement. And there's a huge investment that is currently, I think it's coming online quite soon, is the Ta'ali reservoir and the pipes towards there as a more centralized distribution, which is focused on the amount of chlorine that's used, or chlorates that are used, so that's chlorine and chloramine, in the water, so that the taste is improved. So that's a good thing. We're seeing those improvements coming online at some point here in Malta. In between that, you've got the tap water filter that will effectively remove all the chlorine in your water, leave you great tasting water in to drink, and also we'll be removing all those other substances that are perhaps contaminated in the water through either the distribution network, the pipes in your house, or who knows what. So please, if you've joined us, do comment in the comment box, either on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or on YouTube. You can also comment on WhatsApp if you want to, and I will try and see that on the screen over there. And we're here today talking about the heavy metals in drinking water. and an article that we've written and that you can find on our website, actually here, tappwater.mt/news. And you can pop on any day, Monday to Friday at 10 o'clock, and ask questions or even ask for a live demonstration of a product, and we'll be able to do that for you. So that's super. We'll wrap up the show now. It's been great to be with you today, and we will see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and look forward to your questions then. Thank you very much for coming around today.